Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah.
Melanated.
So today I'm going to be responding to a video posted up by the Grapevine TV, pro-black versus interracial relationship. I find this very interesting because this is something that I think I've battled with my entire life or since I became conscious, which is at a very, very young age, I would say. And I got a lot of backlash for being too dark from the black community as well as speaking white. And in my mind, I was like, what? I'm so black. Like, if y'all aren't woke and y'all just playing into white supremacy, I'm not going to be here for you. And I was forced to open up my views on who was appropriate for me to be with. I mean, there was a time in my life where I couldn't even imagine being with somebody who wasn't black, and all I wanted was this black nuclear family. All I wanted was black love and to find the perfect black man. But as I grew in this world, I realized that there's something up with black men and black American culture in general that I wasn't quite in line with. I actually absolutely love the Grapevine TV. And I have to say shout out to Ashley Acuna for putting it together and all of her crew. And I mean, this episode, she was giving me like Black Panther, you know, French, like she was just giving it all. Like she was giving a look today and I was feeling it. And then I love the commentary by Uchechi, who's always looking ethereal. I love the commentary by Asante. Asante's commentary, I think I felt the most akin to. And then Donovan spoke, which is like, Donovan fixed my life. Like, can he get a show on OWN? Because Donovan always drops the truth. I mean, in such a way that I'm just like, I really want to be his friend, but that's kind of weird because I don't actually know him, you know? Carl is always has the opposite views that I have. I can see how someone might think the way he thinks. I think differently. I don't agree with him, but I still respect Carl's point of view. Yeah, I'm just going to talk a little bit about that episode because I found it to kind of be something that I related to. I don't think it's as black and white, no pun intended, as people might think it is. So let's start off with defining what I think pro-black is. To me, pro-black is being proud of being black and proud of all of the black people throughout the world, throughout the black diaspora, reveling in our culture, differentness, like the fact that we're not a monolith, and our shared sort of either colonialism and white supremacy sort of history that we've all as a people in some way or form or another have had to deal with. And on the local level, you know, buying black, supporting black artists. I'm first gonna say that this is a disclaimer that I'm not trying to trash all black men. I'm not saying that all black men are created equal, and I'm not making one blanket statement, but the way I speak in this video will sound as though I'm making one blanket statement. Secondly, I would like to say that I absolutely do not believe black people are a monolith. I think that we live in this country where we are presented as though we are a monolith. And I think a lot of people feed into that. And I can even say that sometimes I fed into it in a joking manner, but even saying jokes is still feeding into it to a certain extent. And I also want to say that, yes, I understand that a lot of the issues stem from white supremacy, but that point is moot. We are in a space now where it's happened, and now we have to live and grow and thrive and figure out how to survive in this post and current white supremacy type world, right? So most of what I'm going to be saying in this video is very specific to Black Americans because I don't have a non-Black American experience because I've never lived outside of the country, right? Okay. Also, I'm going to say that I have a very specific Southern California point of view as well. So then you know where I'm coming from, and that if you feel like in your area or in your family it's different, you know, great. But this is my experience. I am not going to suffer to be pro-Black. I am a pro-Black woman, and I am a Black person first before I'm a woman, but I'm not going to suffer for it. I'm not going to put my personal needs and wants and my mental stability to the side in order to procreate with somebody to keep the race going. I don't think that the race is dwindling out. I think there is an entire continent filled with Black people who are marrying each other and having children. And I also feel that at a certain socioeconomic class, Black people are still having children with other Black people. You know, Ray Keisha and them, they're not marrying or having children with non-Black people. They are continuing to procreate and produce Black people. So I don't think that we're in any sort of like a deficit. White people are putting gayness into the Black community to stop us from procreating. That idea is like ludicrous and ridiculous. I have had the experience in my life where in my earlier stages of life, Black men weren't there for me. In fact, they were actually against me for being dark skinned. Any Black man who did like me in my formative years usually was very secretive about it. For me, it's been a hard road back to loving Black men, and it was actually wasn't until I moved to New York City in my late 20s that I was like, oh, more types of Black men. There's educated Black men. There are Black men who are woke. There are Black men who are strong. There are Black men who are ambitious. There are Black men who believe in family. See a lot happen to the Black community. You know, World War II took out of a lot of Black fathers. You know, Vietnam, drugs, all that stuff took out a lot of Black fathers. And so a lot of pressure was put on Black women to be both, right? So a lot of grandmothers and mothers and aunties stepped up when parents couldn't be there due to whatever circumstances was happening in our community at the time. And I think that a lot of Black little boys were raised with a certain idea of Black women, either negative or positive, but then they took that into their dating world, into their dating game, and they didn't have fathers. They didn't come from stable homes, so they didn't produce, they weren't good fathers. They didn't produce stable homes. And so I think that as a whole, Black men are broken. And I feel like there's a certain faction of Black men who feel like it's the woman's job to fix that. And children who are feeling like their mothers aren't there for them, that perhaps Black women do have the onus in this, and perhaps if Black women weren't as dedicated to these broken Black men and they stepped out and found stability elsewhere, then maybe we wouldn't be in this. But that is my remedy. And I know everyone's like, oh, that's not the remedy. That's not the remedy for Black women to step out. But the truth is that Black men, to me, have already stepped out. Majority of the interracial couples I know or I see are Black men with non-Black women. And that's fine if you fell in love with them. Carl brought up a very good point that he thinks that most of those situations are due to fetishes. And I agree. Or that they're just looking for white women or non-Black women because they have a thing against Black women and they feel that just a non-Black woman is just going to be better and safer for them. Or they want their children to look a certain way because of self-hate. There's a lot of self-hate going on in the Black community. So I do think that some of those relationships, those interracial relationships, have to do with that. And I would even say that because of hurt within the Black community, that has something to do with me as well. I had to open myself up to other men. I would have no self-esteem, none, had I not opened myself up to other men. And not saying that my self-esteem is directly linked, but in our society, and you can fight me on this, there is a certain part of it where your self-esteem as a woman and your desirability as a woman does come from a man or whoever it is that you're attracted to. And when your race or your people aren't giving you that, it's detrimental. It can be very detrimental. You can end up settling with somebody of your race who doesn't appreciate you and love you and value you the way you need to be valued. So I think that there's a lot of hurt, and Black men are hurt and they refuse to admit that they're hurt. And we have this sort of culture that is perpetuated in music and athleticism where it's okay for them to be unfaithful. It's okay for them to have more than one woman, more than one baby mama. Yet we judge women, Black women, so bad when they have more than one baby father. So like it's a lot of double standards that we don't hold men accountable to, that we sort of are still coddling Black men. Another thing that I feel like is broken within the Black community, and not maybe just Black men, but I do think that Black women are on the forefront of this, is dealing with mental health issues. We have dealt with a lot of trauma culturally and probably within our families. And if we don't acknowledge mental health, if we don't acknowledge how those traumas have mentally impacted us, then I'm not here for you. While we're not a monolith and while we're not going to all be the same, I do think that right now we're in a place where we need to heal. And if not everybody's on board with that healing, then we're never really going to heal. So the best thing that we can do is just find love and find acceptance where we can find it. I'm going to find love and acceptance from who gives it to me in a way that I can receive it. Someone who's going to respect my feminism. Someone who's going to respect the fact that I like to talk about things and I think that counseling and mental health stuff is important. Somebody who's always going to want more, who's going to be ambitious, or who's going to be very supportive of my ambition. I'm pro-Black. I'm about us advancing. I'm about us doing the most and the best at all times. Uchechi brought up a very good point too about the fact that, like, you know, there are Black people who grew up in predominantly white areas and like they just don't see that many Black people. And that doesn't mean they're not pro-Black. That doesn't mean they're not proud of being Black. That doesn't mean they have any self-hate. So we have this cycle, right? And society just puts so much pressure on the Black woman to figure it out. And so I'm tired. I'm not going to figure it out. You know, there are Black women who are. There are Black women who are going to find their right Black mate and make these super Black babies and keep these HBCUs filled to the brim with amazing Black people who are doing big things. But I don't know if I'm going to be that person. And I would love it to have this nuclear Black family. You know how much I want to have a little girl who looks exactly like me? But I might not. And if I don't, I will still love her. I will still love him. They will still be Black to me, no matter how they identify. Because I honestly believe that if I have a biracial child, their experience in this world will be closer to what my experience is than what their father's will be. I'm very pro-Black, but I'm also pro-Black women being happy and healthy and loving themselves and being with people who love them. Being with someone who appreciates them and loves them and believes in family and doesn't want them to shrink or be less than, doesn't want to put them in a box. Be that person, Black or not Black. She deserves that. All right, guys. That's the end of this video. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Also check out Bria B, because she was the inspiration for this Vlogmas, or this 25 and 31. I guess I'm not really doing Vlogmas because I'm not doing it every day. I'm just going to do it Monday through Friday. That's all I can do. I need the weekends off, you know what I'm saying? And also check out Gazi TV. Love, love, love her. She's going to have a lot of comedy, a lot of fun things for you guys to see, and so is Bria. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. Bye.